Here he knows exactly all the corners, left, right and centre. We can see there, Andre Kunchman checking over the red line team before they get into what will be, I'm sure, an exciting race. You can see the cars are rolling. They're into the final complex of corners now, and they're getting ready to take to that first corner and the legendary La Source before that run all the way down the hill to Eau Rouge, all the way up Radion, and all the way up to Les Combes. It's Jobe, it's McCormack, it's Ellis Jr., it's Chinchik, the front couple of rows, as we begin racing here at the legendary Circuit de Spa-Francorchamps. If we have a race at the end of the day, if we need to go to 8, this is the final track. There's contact into the first corner, but nothing too major. One of those Vitalities was squeezed off in the background. I think that was Jajovski, who's dropped down now to 11th position as we go side by side down the hill, keeping our eyes focused on Kevin Ellis Jr. going side by side with Marcel Chinchik, who backs out of it. But now we're going to get the big slipstream. We head up and over the top at Radion, onto the Kemmel straight, through the Kemmel curve. Will Sebastian Jobe be able to hang on to the race lead? Will Kevin Ellis Jr. be able to hang on to third? Because here we go, too wide, squeezed out there goes Marcel Chinchik, but through to the race lead comes Darren McCormack with a brush with Sebastian Jobe, who cuts over the inside at Les Combes. They remain side by side at Malmedy. Who's going to lead?
It looks like now McCormack, with some good teamwork, he's going to be able to help his teammate in here. Kevin Ellis Jr. goes to the outside. Now we've got Chinchik coming up the inside as well. Can the Virtus.pro drivers unsettle Sebastian Jobe? I do not know how he has done that. He has managed to remain in front of the duo there. That's really sensible driving, really intelligent driving. I did not think he was going to come out in the lead after all of that.
No, I thought that was going to be Darren McCormack straight through to the race lead. Great driving from Jobe, who runs out a little bit wide there as they head their way through. Put on down the brakes to make sure that the front end sticks its way straight into that second apex, more just to get the weight onto the front. They head their way into Fania, Piff Baff if you want to call it that. Sebastian Jobe leads, but we're now going to start that big slipstream down to the bus stop.
Yes, I think McCormack's looking aggressive here. He wants that race lead. He's got Kevin Ellis Jr. to back him up. This is going to be super interesting as we come out of... Well, let's actually take a look at the replay towards turn 1. Luke Bennett went really attacking to try to unsettle the Virtus.pro drivers. It kind of worked initially as Kevin Ellis Jr. kind of got sucked back into the pack, but then McCormack able to help his teammate out with the slipstream.
It was just a tough T1, don't see anything wrong there. Everyone's racing hard. It was a good look from Bennett, but it didn't quite work out. He remains in 5th position, behind Chinchik, behind Ellis Jr., behind McCormack, behind Sebastian Jobe. As they work their way through, Bennett's making, trying to make a move on Marcel Chinchik. He's trying to get 2 red lines in the top 4. Chinchik's going to muscle him out wide. This could open the door for Mikhail Statsenko to open his way into the mix. Sebastian Jobe completes the first lap here at the Circuit de Spa-Francorchamps into the race lead. We're focusing on the battle for 4th position. Chinchik's getting to the outside. He's trying to fend off Bennett. They're going to go side by side down to Eau Rouge and Radion. Surely they'll get single file.
I hope so, because it's not going to be ideal to go side by side. Yes, very sensible to tuck in. You want to try and get a really good run off of the corner, not into it. And so they settle in. He hasn't really got any space to get any sort of a run. The car on the back end onto the grass. And now the Aston Martin pulls over to the left-hand side. He's got the outside line up against Luke Bennett. He's going to have to cover off, not against 1 car, but against, well, 4 cars.
Yeah, Riyadh was trying to find his way straight into the mix. It was Thibaut Kazamon, the second of those Vitality cars. You've also got Yuri Tobin off the rear end of this. Throughout all of that is Bennett, is Chinchik. Then you've got Mikhail Statsenko behind, Riyadh, Tobin and Kazamon. All involved. There's fine, there's contact there, though. I think that might have been between Wojtek Fiala and Kevin Siggy. Siggy dropping right the way down to 12th position, the final spot of them, but he's back involved in the train. This is further back down to that Wojtek Fiala move, as Siggy's to the outside. They're all switching positions. It's Fiala versus Siggy versus Jajovski, but this battling is going to drag them right off the train.
Yeah, this fighting in the mid-pack, not just in this race, in all of the races, is so hard fought. My goodness, they are not giving each other an inch at all. They know what's on the line. $200,000 goes to the winner. 100,000 for second, and I think 60 for third. And so there's a lot of money on the line. There's a lot of pride on the line. These guys just want to win the races, of course. And speaking of winning, Sebastian Jobe looking settled at the front, but he has very big pressure here from the duo of Virtus.pro.
Points at the moment, very quickly as they stand. 133 for Team Redline, 119 for Virtus.pro, 57 for Vitality. The reason I'm pointing that now and the importance of it. 133 points. That is comfortably over halfway to finalist mode. Will they be going into it into race 7? We'll have to wait and see. 7's been kind of the cut-off point where a lot of people think that maybe this event's going to end, as there's a bit going deep into the brakes. I think that might have been Chinchik a touch deep and a touch wide as he works his way into the bus stop. This is back to the front though. Darren McCormack, fastest lap of the race as he sets sight on victory again.
Yeah, he really needs to get ahead here. If he can pull through Ellis Jr. as well, that is big in terms of a point swing. And of course, they're trying to deny your opponent. And actually, this is interesting. Sebastian Job slowing down. Is this a tactical element of the racing here? Trying to get the slipstream, perhaps, to return the overtake in toward Lake Coon.
I'm just checking from race control. No, Sebastian Job has been told to give up one position for overtaking Darren McCormack off the track. They're trying to switch that one straight back through, so Job's given up the position, and now he tries to re-overtake for the race lead. Straight around the outside, that looked pretty easy for him. So, drop down. I wonder if race control will be like, yep, that's fine, that's all set and sorted. It's obviously on the first lap going into Lake Com. Sebastian Job cut over the inside, and that was why he was having to give up that one position. Importantly, though, despite that penalty maybe having been sorted, remember, he will get licence points. I think it's 2 licence points. So 2 points will now be taken off of Team Redline as well.
Yeah, that's quite interesting the way he did that. Just pulled off before the corner to get the slipstream back on the next straight. So if there's a time to do it, it was there. It was a sensible place to do it. I thought he was being very tactical with slipstream. Sometimes, you know, if you've got 2 cars behind pushing each other up the straight, it's almost impossible to defend against it. But at least if you pull back to second, you might be able to slipstream back past. That's exactly what happened.
I mean, he was being tactical. He dealt with the penalty. Yes, I know there's the 2 points that come with it, which is frustrating, I'm sure, for the team. But still, that was, it's so heads up to be like, right, I need to give up the position, so let's give it up on this bit of the straight, so then I'm not being dived into La Source, so then I can drop back in, and I can use the slipstream to fly my way back past. I think that is so well strategized.
Yeah, really smart. It's just the correct decision, and this is part of racing. Just obviously you've got to have really good pace and consistency, but it's all about making the right decisions as well. And now Kevin Ellis Jr. on the back foot up against Luke Bennett.
Darren
McCormack looking for a move against Job, not quite happening there though.
Yeah, Darren McCormack was looking for a move. I thought there might have been something there, but again, this is where we don't typically see moves down into La Source, which is this first corner we're just coming up. It's a slight rise up the hill. You'll try, like Darren McCormack there, he's trying to get him offline to try and give a slow exit. It's nothing about making a move there. You don't want to make a move there. What's the point?
Yeah, Job's not going to fall for that one. He's not going to divert from his line. This is the place to do it. This is it. I mean, there's no point almost in going into the final chicane or La Source turn 1. You wait for this bit here. You rack up the momentum coming through Eau Rouge and Radion onto the Kemmel Straight. You build up the speed. Look at this. He's definitely got a run on him. Is Job going to go defensive? He isn't. He's going to stay to the left-hand side. And McCormack is going to get more than enough of a run here to get cleanly ahead before the corner.
Tried to squeeze him a little bit. Maybe if they were still side by side in the corner, it would give Darren McCormack a really narrow line. However, as we approach the halfway point of this race, about halfway around this 7-kilometre lap, it will be McCormack leading from Job, from Ellis Jr., from Bennett, from Statsenko. So some good moves coming in from Virtus.pro, and there'll be some good point scores courtesy of it.
Yeah, this is very representative, I think, of the overall point score at the moment, with Virtus.pro and Redline quite easily ahead in this race and in the overall standings at the moment. So McCormack doing a really good job here. That was a really well-timed overtake, I've got to say. He judged the gap exactly to perfection coming out of the source, timed the momentum perfectly, and got through into the lead.
Points situation as it stands. Redline 127, Virtus.pro 126. They are both halfway to finalist mode. Obviously, things can chop and change. Things can unravel as the race goes on, as the day goes on. Darren McCormack, though, in position to take 3 in a row. We're halfway through this race. This is not going to be easy to the checkered flag. He needs his teammate Kevin Ellis Jr. to effectively unseat Sebastian Job and pull him straight off of the race leader.
That is so exciting that they're both more than halfway towards finalist mode. On race 3 here, so we could potentially see a finalist mode in race 7 out of 8 that we're going to see today. So that's pretty cool. Let's not forget, of course, that anytime you gain a position, obviously you get more points, your opponent gets less points. You're also denying them the chance to get towards that finalist mode, which is ever important. This is another look at Sebastian Job getting back into the race lead.
Yeah.
Was this on the opening lap? No, this was the return overtake after we conceded the position. So it's really smart driving from him. And then this was McCormack going back through with the well-timed overtake. Really judged that gap coming out of the source perfectly to get that momentum, get that swing, and leaving Joe with no chance to really defend.
Couple of switches then between our race leaders. Are we going to get one more? Are we going to get one behind as well? Sitting in the middle of the road goes Darren McCormack because he's trying to make things a little bit awkward for Sebastian Jobe. They go side by side. They drag their way up towards Lake Com. Into the braking zone they go. Sebastian Jobe back through into the race lead with 3 laps left to go. Kevin Ellis Jr. and Luke Bennett remain side by side, with now Bennett taking over the lead of that battle. This is a tough one.
Yeah, that's Timo from BMW there he is, giving us a wave in the seating.
In the seating in the ST
in the arena,
Saudi National Bank Arena. Yeah, of course.
Watching on to the BMW M4 GT3 powering itself towards the front of the pack. Jobe and Bennett, just ominous. I said this in the previous race. They are quite ominous. As now into Pouan, having a look there is that Riyadh going up the inside of Chinchik. Not the best place to really go for a move. And thinking better of it. That was Siggy, wasn't it?
I think it was Siggy in the Siggy Toman and Yayovsky battle with Wojtek Fiala and Thibaut Kazem on behind. Here comes a bit of a replay of the switch for the race lead. So you can see McCormack there is kind of doing the right thing. He's not really defending, but not really not defending. He's kind of sitting in the middle of the road and just trying to make things, to kind of almost make Sebastian Jobe doubt himself a little bit, right?
Yeah, that's all you can do in that situation. Just force him to the outside, just make it as awkward as possible. You know, potentially make them make an unforced error essentially on the brakes. But you know, Jobe isn't really the kind of guy to do that. This is the battle then for 4th. It's developing into 2 battles of 2 between Virtus.pro and Team Redline as they go side by side through the chicane. Kevin Ellis Jr., neither of them seem to be able to really gain control fully of 3rd, but now Bennett kind of slots in ahead. We're going to see what they do once again as we approach La Source. This is where the real action seems to begin on this circuit, as we have look like a 3 abreast there towards the back of the pack.
Whoa!
Job with a bigger mistake on the exit of La Source.
Yeah, this is going to cost him potentially, unless Darren McCormack's maybe classified as being too close now to Sebastian Jobe. What caused Sebastian Jobe to also have that slight slide? What switch are we going to have here on the penultimate lap of the race? Slow over the top at Radion. Here comes a look then to the outside. The Virtus.pro driver of Darren McCormack's going to come through, but also Luke Bennett might be into the mix as well. We've seen Bennett and McCormack battle for the racing before. Bennett might make this 3 wide, but instead he goes straight in behind his teammate Sebastian Jobe, playing the assistance, as does Kevin Ellis Jr. Side by side for the races again. Around the outside as they go into Lake Com. So close between the pair of them. Darren McCormack just about has the lead, but as they go through Malmedy, still the overlap from Sebastian Jobe. It's McCormack to the front as they head down the hill into Rivage. Luke Bennett still side by side with Ellis Jr.
Oh, McCormack, this man. What can't he do on a racetrack? That is absolutely incredible. Just slotting in ahead, judging that one to perfection. I think we saw that in the first lap of the previous race. You can turn in a bit too aggressively on your opponent. You can end up spinning quite easily. We've seen that many times, actually, over all of the races. McCormack judging that one to perfection. Jobe and Bennett, though, 2nd and 3rd. They've still got a lap and a quarter here to try to get back to the race win.
Bit of sweat appearing here on, not too much. He's still pretty calm and collected, is McCormack, but you can understand tension is building throughout the day, and it is going to be getting more and more difficult to take these victories. I mean, look, if this, we'll be racing at the Circuit de Spa-Francorchamps for the final race if we get to 8. Again, they'll have to get to 250 points, and then the next victory they take is what makes the difference. Now, right now, obviously, no one's near finalist mode. We're comfortable. We're just trying to score some decent points here. But once it comes to that final race, very, very different.
Yeah, that's when the gloves are well and truly off. I mean, they are already off, let's be honest. But here's McCormack's move around the outside. This was so well judged. I'm really impressed. Goes late on the brakes, goes onto the curb on the left-hand side for a bit more angle into the corner. And this is the battle then on the exit. Bennett just getting tagged there. And now, all of this fighting has helped Marcel Chinchik to get onto the back of it. So this is looking like a fairly set battle between only Virtus.pro and Redline. But now we have a Team Vitality driver with a chance to gain some further positions here.
I'm surprised Luke Bennett was that confident with squeezing on the exit of the bus stop chicane after the dramas at the Jeddah Corniche circuit just about an hour ago. Either way, into a Rouge Radion, he remains himself in 3rd position. 4 for the race lead within a second, but you've still got Chinchik, you've still got Rietveld, a little bit of a gap back to Statsenko before we have our large gap back relatively speaking, to Toman Yayovsky, Sigi Kazamon and Fiala. Here we go then towards the front end of the field. It's Kevin Ellis Jr. going for third position. He looks down the inside of Bennett, but the outside line through Les Combes is what makes the difference. It's the final lap of the race, and at the moment, it is still McCormack leading. He was able to fend off Sebastian Job there. Marcel Chinchik looks to the inside. 5 within a second now as we come down the hill.
Yeah, super close. That's also Rietveld looking very aggressive at the back of the pack. And, you know, you can chip away and give Team Redline a further couple of points if you can get a move done here. So I don't think this is over. Of course, we have the final chicane, always going to be a big overtaking opportunity. Darren McCormack 6/10 ahead. He looks fairly comfortable, but there's definitely room for Kevin Ellis Jr. Or even, I think this battle for fourth is probably where we're most likely to get an overtake.
Most consecutive victories in R1's history has been 4. It's been reached by 4 drivers. Sebastian Job's one of them. Of course, we saw Max Benneker go out of the competition. He's also another. Darren McCormack, also another one of those drivers who have done 4 consecutive victories. Charlie Collins being the 4th of those drivers. No driver has done 5 consecutive victories. This would be 3 for Darren McCormack. Can he get to 5? Can he break the record? Can he set the most consecutive victories at LAN as well when the pressure is at its absolute highest? That's maybe getting a bit far ahead of themselves, because it's been a perfect drive once again. It was a brilliant drive earlier on in the day. The previous 2 races, he opened up his account with that victory at Hockenheim. He opened up, or continued it rather, with that victory at Jeddah, and he continues it furthermore here with a victory at the legendary Circuit de Spa-Francorchamps. Big slide for Marcel Chinchik, but it's McCormack across the line. 25 more important points for Virtus.pro, and a fantastic drive sees McCormack ahead of Job and Bennett on the podium, but importantly, Kevin Ellis Jr. was there to back him up.
Yeah, impressive run there by McCormack. Really, really good. It was never really assured who was going to win that one with Job. Very good battle between the 2 of them. Still impressed with Redline. You know, Luke Bennett just eventually getting up into 3rd, and you know that's actually a really important position there to gain, I think. So impressive race. Really, really good form there by McCormack.